Hi everyone, my name is Georgette True and I am the host of Relatives Fight CPS, and I also work with attorney Vincent Davis. Today's show is about relatives, right? Fighting CPS, and I want you guys to know that your vote is very important, and here is why. Lord Jesus. This is an article in Los Angeles Times about Commissioner Deborah Losnick. She's a commissioner for the Children and Family Services. She's a judge. Um, she was originally, over 20 years ago, appointed by, I guess, Jerry Brown, Senator Jerry Brown. And I have a problem with her, and here is why. I know you guys remember when I mentioned to you guys that oftentimes they give the children to the abuser, and they always deem the mother unfit, always deem the mother unfit. This, you can look at this case. This case number is, it's, by the way, LA Times, right? Case number CK81043. This is LA County, Monterey Park Courthouse. In one of those rare cases when the system partially worked for the child, with the police, DCFS and medical examiner agreeing father was responsible for crimes against his child. Losnick, the judge, wanted to give him custody instead. Losnick forced the small child to have monitored visits with him and did nothing to protect even the social workers that the father has threatened. The Court of Appeal affirmed monitored visitation always, but awarded mom full legal and physical custody. And that case number for the appeal court is B248828. There's always a pattern with this judge. And I'm not beginning to wonder. I know that evil exists. I get that. It exists. But the problem with us is that we're not voting against her, meaning we have to vote for someone other than her so she can step out. She needs to step out. Her 23 years on the bench are quite enough, says the reporter. And it's written by Bonnie Russell. This is when I tell you guys that the judges are in on it, and the county is in on it, and the district attorneys are in on it, and the freaking court appointed attorneys are in on it, is true. Very true. Judges are so corrupt in children courts that it just blows my mind how we the people keep them on the bench. And the reason they remain on the bench is because of scumbags like her and others, where no one really is voting them out. And when I say voting them out, meaning voting for another judge. We allow them to be reelected because we don't care about these votes. And this is like important to understand, because you heard my show yesterday, some of you, of the whistleblower that was on there, and she explained exactly what happens. And they're literally selling children for cash. And why is always the mother wrong? That's the part I don't understand. I mean, I'm not saying anything against dads, but why is it always the mother's fault? It's always the mother's always the one that the court sees as the one that's creating the problem. Even if the mother made a report to protect her and herself and her children, she is deemed unfit because she failed to protect, but then they will give the child to the abuser. Why is that? Why is that? Well, as I told you before, judges, yes, they make the final decision, but scumbags like her right? They don't make, they don't make the right decisions. But again, they make the right decisions based on what suits them. It's not based on facts and evidence. And that's why your court-appointed attorney don't present those facts and evidence into court. Meanwhile, your relatives thinking that, hey, my son went back to drugs again, or my daughter-in-law went back to drugs again, or why would they say shit about me? I was always loving towards them. And then the grandparents starts talking shit about their kids and their other children. And there you have it. The whole family is divided. And when the mom and dad needs support, emotional support and financial support, the whole family is against them and they don't help them. That's how the system works. They divide you from your own children, misleading you with information that the kid said, or the mother said, the father said, your daughter-in-law said, your son-in-law said. All of that is to distract you and remove you away from the victims. And the victims are the parents. So this is, you can read what I just mentioned. I just saw it right now, by the way. I haven't had a chance to read all of it yet, but it was sent to me by one of our clients. She emailed it to me, and I had the opportunity to glance at it before the show. And I think I'm going to finish reading it, and maybe perhaps on Tuesday, I can talk about it on the show. But I want to get into it more and more. There is a lot of judges that were appointed by Jerry Brown, and I come to find out that most of these judges, not some, most of them are corrupt. There's always something about them. And oftentimes the corrupt judges want the seat in the state so that way they can make decisions based on family life and children lives. And that to me is extremely alarming. There are things that I've been watching on not the news, not on TV, but social media, of videos, people coming from the borders, people finding their children missing body parts, because they're probably most likely being sold. So the kids are the ones suffering, and the parents are suffering. And for some reason, they hold the mother guilty for even mentioning God. They think that mentioning God, a mom, is crazy. So this world is coming to God knows what, an end. So grandparents, relatives, please wake up. I keep saying this in every show, and I'm getting really sad news almost every day now. Relatives disowning their children and like believing what the social workers are saying about them. They're not helping them, and they lose custody of their kids, and all of a sudden grandma and grandpa also lost custody because they thought the children were going to be placed with them. But because grandma refused to be a foster parent, grandma's not going to get the children. Furthermore, there's one of our clients who actually recorded the conversation where the judge, sorry, and I'm not going to say, she's not a client yet, but she wants to be a client, but it's in a different state. She recorded the conversation with the judge in court, and the judge said, oh, we can't do that because we can't place her in the relative's home because they're going to lose the funding. They have to be placed in a foster home so they can get the funding. Actually was said. So this shit is real, man. I'm like talking to you guys right now, and I'm like, in my head, I can't even process everything because I've heard so much today. My brain cannot put together yet. I mean, I know they're corrupt, but I actually listened to one today saying that to a mother. Why she will not place her kids with relatives? Because they will lose the funding. I can't. I can't think right now. I swear I'm talking to you and I'm a zombie inside. Most of these mothers that comes from Mexico, you know, from the borders, I get calls. They can't speak English, but they manage to find somebody to translate for them. And all of them say the same thing. This woman showed me a badge. She works for the government. She took my child. She said she's going to bring my child back, and her child never came back. I had like maybe 5 calls like that. So where are the children? I don't know. Grandpa, grandma called me. We don't know where our kids are, grandkids are. The social worker came and checked the home. Everything was fine. We got fingerprinted. They said they're going to bring the children home, our grandkids home. Never came home. But then you guys wonder to yourselves, does the system really work? Well, all along, they're separating you from your children and your grandchildren. When are we going to wake up? I have no idea. I don't know how many shows I have to do saying the same thing over and over and over again. Anyone that comes to your home, you don't even know them. They talk shit about your family. That should be a red alarm right there. I wouldn't allow anyone talking shit about my family. I know my family. Even if somebody came to me and said, your cousin said this about you, I don't believe it because I know my cousins. And they know me. They know me enough to know that I will go to their face and tell them. I don't need to talk behind their back. That's why they love me. And they know I wouldn't say anything like that. So you need to have a sound mind to distinguish between the enemy and God. Because at the end of the day, the enemy is feeding you with lies against your kids so that way your grandkids can be sold to the higher bidder. I'm working on making this all over the news, not just social media. I am getting letters, not letters, but emails. If you guys have a story, you want to write it down in an email form and send it to me. Um, Make sure you mention your county and state, and mention when the case was open, when the case was closed, what was the allegation against you, all that. Because oftentimes, I hear stories from school teachers, from nurses, from doctors. They're going after their kids too, believe it or not. If a doctor disobeys a social worker and not do what the social worker wants them to do, they come after their own kids. But these doctors can afford hiring an attorney. But the regular folks like me and you guys, we can't just afford, an attorney like that. We can't just afford a $75,000 retainer or $100,000 retainer or, $25,000 retainer, depending on where your county is. So just be sure to talk things out with your kids, your kids who gave you grandkids, and make sure that the stories fit. Do not go against them. Be there for them. Support them, because parents at times like this, they lose their mind. And when I say they lose their mind, not that they're crazy, it's because the system inflicts pain on them daily. So they need a support system. But like I said, the narcissistic system, they want to sabotage the support system for the parents by spreading lies against them. That's exactly what narcissistic idiots do, because they want to divide so nobody can know the real truth. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you guys send me an email with your story, but don't make it, 18 pages. I'm talking about synopsis of your case, and let me look it over and make sure that you include your full name and phone number, and let me look at it, and then I will give you a call back. But that would be nice to get as many as possible. And most of you guys know my email address. If not, call the office, the 888 number, and ask the receptionist. So I'm going to have to cut the show short today because I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of parents to call. God bless you guys. And I really hope, I pray to God that relatives seek knowledge about CPS, the true meaning of behind of why they do what they do, the excessive money that they receive, taking your grandkids from you and from the whole family, and turning you against the parents. I pray to God that you receive knowledge, like really good knowledge, to stop them in their track and to fight for your grandkids. God bless you. Gotta go.